I wasted a lot of time chasing money the wrong way. I wasted a lot of time doing things that weren't building a solid foundation and weren't moving me towards a sustainable way of making money. So let me explain. So working for money is great, right? Especially in the beginning, especially when you want to invest and start to see compounds in your investment portfolios. That's great. Working hard is great, right? Doing grunt work, doing things that, just pay you are a great start for anybody. But the further along you get, right, in your financial freedom journey, the transition from working hard to working smart is paramount. So working smart entails using more of your mind, right? Because when we're working hard, we're using our bodies, right? We're doing construction, we're doing labor, we're, busting tables, doing washing dishes, doing, whatever, just, labor, working with our body, right? Working with our hands. So as you get older and as you, start to see returns in your investment portfolios and you start to sort of have a financial cushion, if you will, you want to start to transition into more passive forms of making money. So ways of making money that require you to use your brain more than your time, realistically, right? Because we trade time for money, which is again, we all have to do that at the start, right? That's a non-negotiable. You can't go from any form of you can't get to any form of good financial stability without having to at least work hard in the beginning, of course, unless you inherit money. But for me, right, like I'm 25, so I'm in that kind of halfway point from 20 to 30, and looking at the past 5 years, right, I've done a lot of labor, right? I've done a lot of overtime. I've done a lot of working side jobs and stacking cash and investing, right? And the older that I get, the more important it is for me to start to use my brain, right? And in the same way that I'm talking to myself right now, I'm talking to you guys as well, right? So and again, whether that's a form of a business, whether that's you becoming a writer, whether that's you learning how to day trade, learning how to make money online with Shopify or e-commerce or whatever form, right? And again, I'm not trying to spit all this influencer stuff on you and sound, like I'm regurgitating certain things, but realistically speaking, right, the highest paid people for the most part, right, like the multimillionaires, they get paid to use their brain. They don't trade time for money, right? They use time to leverage themselves, right, and their ability to generate money without spending as much energy and time, right? So I just want to kind of make that clear to you guys and sort of give that to you because it's important, especially the farther along you get. Like, as far as your evolution, when it comes to your financial freedom, like if you find yourself working 70 hours a week, into your late 20s and early 30s, right? When you did that in your early 20s, that's not what you want to aim for, right? You want to aim for more passive ways to make money and ways to make money that require less labor and less energy, right? So that's not to say you're not working hard, right? That's not to say you're being a bum or you're trying to take shortcuts. That's just trying to be more practical, right? Because let's face it, working 70 hours, working 80 hours, that sucks. Not only does it suck, but it's not sustainable, right? Like you could do it for a year or maybe even 2, but it's really hard and really grueling, right? It's grueling on your body and on your mind to live in an inflammatory state, to live in a state of sleep deprivation, right? And the list goes on. Overworking is good, like I said, to give you some leverage in the beginning, but as far as your health and the ability for you to use your mind starts to dwindle when you're tired, when you're fatigued and you can't recover and you can't use the faculties that God gave you because they're burnt out, right? So anyways, long story short, I think that that's very important as you go. And then also, one thing I look at as well, especially in my life, I'm just kind of being very honest and transparent with you guys right now. Looking back, and I've mentioned this a couple of times in my videos, I wouldn't have moved out as soon as I did, right? Right now, about 30 hours of my paycheck, or 25 to 30 hours of my paycheck go to liabilities, right? They go to my mortgage, they go to my HOA fee, they go to my utilities, they go to my insurance, all sorts of things, right? So, looking back, right, because I'm I'm heavily invested into crypto. I own a lot of tech stocks, right? So, because I don't run this through my head too many times, but I think about it from time to time, right? Because I'm 25, right? So I moved out in 2022. So I had just turned 22 when I moved out of my parents' house, right? So I was like 22 years old, with 22 and some change, right? But I look back right now and I'm like, if I just sacrificed another 2 years of living with my parents, right? 2 or 3 years, and I saved up and invested, 90, I could invest, guys. If I lived with my parents were great. They were awesome. I could literally have invested 90% of my earnings into whatever I wanted. And right now, again, I'm not trying to, look in the past, but looking at my life right now, I would have a lot of money, like close to $1 million, right? If I had done the amount of work that I did without the liability of a mortgage and of a HOA fee in a house, right? So again, I'm not trying to, look back and wish I could change things, right? Like, I love my life. I love the place I live in. I'm here in Florida. It's beautiful. I live on my own. I have privacy. I have quiet time. So I'm not trying to say I regret anything, but if I was you guys, right? Because I'm trying to help you guys get to that goal quicker, right? So when we look at financial freedom, right, it's not so much about you having $1 million, right? It's not so much about you having the amount of money that's going to satiate you or make you feel fulfilled. It's about having the amount of money that can give you the life you want, that can give you the decision making you want, that can give you the choice you want, so that you can have the freedom to be where you want to be. If you want to be by yourself, you can be by yourself, or you could just spend time doing things that actually make sense, that actually help you and help others, right? So I just think that there's certain things that you learn as you go, right? And there's I wouldn't have been able to have this conversation with myself or with you guys 5 years ago, right? Like, there's a time and a place for everything, and obviously you have to evolve. You have to go through certain things in life to know that, hey, maybe I could have done something better, right? And even myself right now, like, there's certain things that I'm learning as I go now that I'm like, yeah, I need to do this instead of doing that, right? So just being able, like, for example, like, if you realistically mathematically look at it, right? Like, let's say, for example, I spent age 20 to 25 with my parents, right? So instead of moving out at 22, I'm staying with them for another 2 years. If I made $50,000, let's say I made $50,000 a year, right? All 4 years with 1 or 2 jobs, right? Let's just say I did that, just for practicality sense. If I was able to make $50,000 a year, right? And I saved only 10,000 of it a year and invested the 40, right? So over 4 years, $40,000 times 4 years is what? That's 120,000. So imagine how much fucking money you'd have if you had been able to invest $120,000 over a 4 year span, especially in crypto. Crypto has insane amount of percentage returns. Bitcoin has the amount of appreciation, the percentage of appreciation that crypto has is insane, especially in bull cycles. So, I just want to kind of point this out to you guys, because I could have been, in a much better position sooner had I realized there's a better way to go about certain things, and there's a better way to work, and there's also a better way to plan your living situation so that you can get there quicker, right? I think if you ask anybody, would you rather be financially free in 5 or 10 years? Anyone would say 5, right? So I want you guys to be well equipped for that, right? Because again, I think, I say this a lot, but I think that the ultimate form of betrayal to yourself is staying in a job that is limiting. Not that it's soul sucking, not that it's like annoying. It's just you have to deal with coworkers. Every job you have to deal with certain things that you don't like. Even a business, there's certain things like I feel like that you just don't want to do, or they're not as fun as other things. But the main thing is, like, your ultimate form of expression is subdued. Your creativity is diminished, right? Like in jobs, you have to follow certain parameters and certain processes to a T, right? There's little refinement or spontaneity or creativity involved in certain jobs, right? In most jobs, right? Because if you don't do X, right, you get fired, right? Or if you don't do it this way, you get written up, right? So again, I want you guys to have autonomy and creativity in your work, right? If your work is self-employment, or if your work is serving other people, right? Whichever way you want to serve other people. You want to help people lose weight, you want to help people unfuck their belief systems, you want to help people become financially literate, you want to help people become better in their bodies, right? Healthier, less stress. Whatever form of service you want to give to the world, there's a limit to it in a 9-to-5 job. That's not to say that you can't help people in a job. That's not to say that you can't use some form of your skill and your creativity and your faculties, but it's limited. And it comes to a point where you don't want to be in a position where you want to leave, or you feel like there's a good time to leave and you don't have the money, right? Like the reason I pretty much made this video is to tell you that having the amount of money that you could have if you invested and lived with your parents, right? You'd have the most choice in the job market. If you wanted to work an easy job, you could work an easy job and work on your business, right? So again, I'm just being very transparent with you. I'm being very honest with you, and I'm sharing my life story, my life experiences with you, because I feel like this can help you. And if you avoid like moving out early, I think that can be a significant benefit to you, financially, right? It may not be fun living with your parents for an extra 2 years. I know we all want to be out of our parents' house. We all don't want to listen to our parents tell us what to do, or have their belief systems shoved down our throat, right? You should do this, you don't do that, that's too scary, you don't know, you might lose money, all sorts of things, right? So again, I can't change the past, right? I can't go back and say and redo things, but I want to give this to you guys so that you guys can achieve the life you want way sooner than I can, right? So anyways, guys, that's it. That's all. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe. If you guys have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them down below. And as always, I will talk to you guys soon. Peace.